We've been warned about the bee colony collapse for over 2 decades now. It's a huge problem because if there are no bees, soon there won't be any humans either. Today, Reno Food Systems is promoting some ways we can all do our part with the Bee Friendly Reno campaign.
Bee Friendly Reno is far more than be nice to the bees.
Yes, it is. It is. There's so many simple things that you can do to support the pollinators that, like leaving out water, mowing less frequently, of course not using pesticides, that's a big one. And then also buying organic plants or plants that aren't treated with neonicotinoids, which the evidence is showing that it has an impact on the fertility of the bees, particularly. So there are all sorts of simple things you can do to support the pollinators.
So talk about the pollinators. What makes these bees so important to our ecosystem, to our environment?
Right.
Why is it so important to think about and be friendly to bees?
Right. Well, they do provide about 75% of pollination of our foods, right? So it's not just the flowers, but then there's also the aspect that they are an indicator species, so like the canary in the gold mine, so if they're dying, that means the birds who eat them are affected, and then so all the way up the food chain. So pollinators have a really important role in our ecosystem. So it's important to protect them right now because they're dying off at alarming rates. The other thing that's really exciting is that our region is home to 25% of the native bees in the country. So out of all the native bees tracked, 25% of them are represented in the Great Basin. So to me, that's an opportunity for us to help support them.
Do you have bees?
I looked into it and decided that it was not for me, but I have a friend that does, so I'm really excited to show you his backyard.
Next, it's off to visit a beekeeper who I must say has the most bee-friendly clover lawn I have ever set foot on.
All the plants and the pollinators evolved together at the same time. The plants need the bees to pollinate so they can reproduce, and the bees need the plants for the pollen and the nectar. It's a symbiotic relationship, and you can't have one without the other. If it weren't for the bees and other pollinators, we would be without 80% of the food that we have in our markets. And
people forget that it's all connected.
It's all connected. And the thing is, every year bees are facing more and more hazards with all the pesticides and the diseases that they're having right now, and the climate change is throwing the cycle into disruption because it's getting warmer and warmer, and some of the plants are blooming earlier, and yet the pollinators aren't hatching any earlier. And so once the synchronicity of that gets out of sync, we could have some problems.
The next stage of helping save the bees starts by taking the Bee Friendly Pledge at renofoodsystems.org/BeFriendlyReno.